everyone, and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today it's one of my replays and I'm in the Preussen, at tier 10 German battleship. I'm on the map the Atlantic in a 3-point domination game. Now, there are 2 submarines in this one, so that's unfortunate. There's also a broadside Begonia, and that was a very good starting salvo there.
Fire alarm!
Anyway, so I've spawned up here at sea and I'm trying to make my way towards more of this corner here in order to get some brawling done. Now, there is a Shimakaze. We've seen the Kagero already down at A, but this cap is contested, so that's either the Shimakaze or a sub. So not hydroing here might be a bit of a mistake on my part, because honestly there could be lots of torps coming my way. Now I do have Viper here in front of me. So Viper will probably spot quite a lot of those torps. There aren't any deep waters. So deep waters could just... Well, deep waters are so sneaky that Viper might not see them. So it's not like I'm completely unprotected. But still, it might have been a good idea to hide. Now here are the torps that I expected. And as I've said, like Viper is going to see them. And is he going to dodge them? Yes, he is. So nicely done there by Viper.
Torpedoes auf Steuerbord!
Meanwhile, there are some cruisers to shoot. There was the Shimmer that was briefly visible. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to actually shoot it. So the Des Moines is sort of the more important target, but I think that the Bagration, or however it's called, is a bit more trapped with those islands and is easier to get hits on. But anyway. So I probably should hydro about now, but I still haven't pressed the button. And I'm detected, right? That's not good. Now I'm going to hydro. And now I'm going to spot the submarine, because that submarine has been sitting there on periscope depth. If I had hydroed before, I would have seen that sub, and the sub would have needed to dive earlier. I mean, the good news is that I got some hits into the sub, because clearly didn't expect that. The bad news is it got some hits into me. Now, if this sub had launched all of its torpedoes, my game might have already been over right here. I took, what, like 2 torps? That's... And you can already see that I've taken a bit of a beating there, right? If the sub would have just launched all of its torpedoes, this would have been a bad day indeed. Now, I'm trying to follow up with some more depth charges. I got some initial hits in. Now its damage con should be on cooldown, hopefully. And yeah, it looks like I got a follow-up hit, so I guess neatly. Now that means there should be an oil spill. And if it has damage con earlier, it means it can't damage con the oil spill, so we can follow this up. And we are once again showing that if you want to do something against the submarine, you need 2 things, right? You need to be a battleship, and you need the submarine to not be very good.
Torpedoes auf Steuerbord!
So there we go. I've successfully sunk a submarine. Now, the submarine has launched torpedoes that are too deep to hit. See, the thing is, the torpedoes won't rise unless I'm pinged, and I'm not pinged. Also, if those are... Like, ping only works on homing torpedoes, right? So if it has launched the other torpedoes, there is no way for them to rise in the first place, and if they were homing torpedoes, it would have needed a ping. So while once again this submarine could have been very problematic if it had launched a stream of torpedoes that can hit me, well, it did. So counterplay working as intended. You need an inexperienced submarine captain and you need to be in a battleship. Meanwhile, my secondaries are Ameling the Begonia and here this Begonia. It's pretty screwed. There is still another submarine though, and honestly it should be in range for my anti-submarine warfare, so I'm just not paying enough attention. I should really be dropping my depth charges over there. So that's my... Now I finally realized what's going on, and it's on the edge of my range, to be fair, and it looks like it's reversing outside of it. But I can go a little bit closer into that direction. Yeah, it has gone out of it, but... Secondaries are gonna shoot. The submarine has surfaced. And... oh, that's a nice salvo there. Now I'm getting closer, which means we'll try to follow this up with another depth charge strike. And maybe this time it will actually hit. There's also still a cruiser around that I'm more than happy to engage. And oh, the submarine, it survived, but it's flooding. And I think its damage con is on cooldown. So there we go. I've sunk 2 submarines. I already feel like this is a great success. No matter what happens in this game, I claim moral victory. Now actually this game is looking pretty good. We are 2 ships ahead, we are doing well on caps. There is a Des Moines trying to take B away from us, but we'll see if that actually works, because it's a, well, depends if the Des Moines can aim concealment or not. Be that as it may, I'm actually pretty far away from the fight, so this is where we're gonna speed this up a little bit while I try to get close. And honestly, maybe I'll get a shot at the Des Moines from here, but it's probably not gonna do much. Mostly, well, yeah, exactly, the Des Moines was deleted by the Minnesota. Now all of the enemies are still stuck in A, while we've successfully managed to grab C. And I'm trying to get a few shots off, but nothing too exciting is happening here, that's why I've taken control of the camera and you can't see me aiming. Mostly I'm just trying to get closer here in order to do something. And this is probably where we give myself the camera controls back and slow it down again. Because now Kagero has a target. Now this Kagero is, well, if it can't go into concealment, it's pretty screwed, and it can't go into concealment because it's spotted by a submarine.
Good game, everyone.
So, well, another player that had a lot of fun with submarines, and down goes the submarine. Meanwhile, I'm finally in secondary range of stuff again, so we can go into one match brawl. Now, interestingly enough, ship-wise we aren't that, well, we are in the lead obviously. But ship-wise I would almost say the enemy still has a chance if they play it right. Points-wise they are pretty much wrecked. And okay, forget anything I said. No, even ship-wise the enemy is screwed. Well, all that remains at this point is trying to get a bit more brawling done. The enemy lost too much time at A, honestly, and they didn't get a lot out of it. Our team at A played it rather passively and kited away and survived, while stalling the enemy. While our team dominated C by sinking the enemies were there, and then we managed to go to B and reinforce our weak flank just in time. And now the enemy is pretty much getting crushed. And look at that, we found a full health Iowa at this point in the game. I get a feeling this Iowa could have shown a little bit more aggression. Now, the biggest problem I have at this point is that when we look at the points, I can only sink one of those 2 ships, right? Because once one of those 2 ships sinks, the battle will be over. So, tactically, if I want to get most out of this, I should really split the damage I'm doing between those 2. It doesn't really matter anyway. Also, I mean, we might be reaching 1,000 points before any of those ships sink. You know, it's a shame, right? Because there could be a, well, if Iowa survives long enough, we could have a lovely drive-by. This Kano is somewhat broadside, so there is a potential there. But in the end, we'll just reach 1,000 points.
Fire alarm!
Which does lead us to the results, and that was a pretty fun game in the Preussen. I sunk 2 submarines. Now those were very inexperienced submarines. Well, otherwise they would have sunk me, obviously. But, you know, any game where you sink a submarine is a good one, right? No, really, a game without submarines would be a good one, to be honest. Be that as it may, though, it was a fun battle. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you next time.